And we all know that fruit that's in a can, even though it says best before, is not going to be rotten the day that it hits the date. So what we do is, as volunteers, we go through the food and we sort it. And if it says expired date, the date of expiry, then we're not going to pass that along. However, if it says best before, we know that it's still good. It's just that they can't guarantee that the color won't change a bit, the texture won't change a bit. Maybe the nutritional value will come down a little bit, but it's still perfectly good to eat. And I would happily eat it, and my family is very excited to be able to try things that we wouldn't normally buy, because it's just either not within our budget or they're products that we've never been introduced to before. So there's this sort of products, and then some of the grocery stores we partner with. So there's a Metro on Bank Street that calls us, and Herb and Spice in Westboro calls us to pick up produce. And so, you know, they've got in the store, they have one rack that says 50% off, or they put their produce on sale. Not all grocery stores do that. So I want you to think, why would they not do that? Because obviously they have things that are going to kind of go to a point where nobody wants to buy them. When I do go grocery shopping, if I've got 20 apples in front of me, of course I'm going to go through and I'm going to take the prettiest ones, right? But then what happens to the ones that aren't so pretty? Those are the ones that they end up just disposing of, because eventually nobody's bought them. Or they can mark them down, but some stores don't mark them down in their price, because then people buy the markdown ones. They don't pay full price for the others. So in order to be able to make money at their grocery store, which of course we would want them to be able to do because they're providing us a service, they have to find what is that right spot. And so when we go and pick up produce, these apples, they look beautiful, but they've got a couple little bumps and bruises, and so they weren't really sellable. So we pick them up, and then if we bring these to, let's say, there's one place where I make a delivery and it's new Canadian families. So people who have just come to Canada and they get to stay at this beautiful house with different apartments. And there's a community kitchen to be able to help get them a start, and people help find them an apartment, help them understand how things work in Canada and where to get their groceries and so on. If I bring this to them, they don't go, "Ooh, there's a bruise on it." They've got a volunteer in the kitchen who's like, "Awesome, we're gonna make apple crumble for dinner." And so there's potential for these fruit, even though they don't look as beautiful as the ones that somebody might have chosen in the grocery store. And these kiwis, they look great. They're super sweet, but they're very ripe. They're a little bit softer than usual. So at Ottawa Food Sharing, what we also do is we try to do public education. So explaining to people that there's things they can do with food that looks a little bit not so nice. So if you've got lettuce in the fridge and it's looking a bit limp, then you break off all the leaves, you put them in a cold bowl of cold water, and then all of a sudden you look back in half an hour and you're like, that's not the same lettuce, because it's all puffed back up ready to eat. So we try to teach people how to be able to use their food longer. And maybe you can think that whenever we're chatting later, you can tell me, this mango looking a little wrinkly, right? So I want you to think of something I can do with this mango so that it doesn't end up having to be wasted.
With our brown bananas, we make banana bread, and with our brown apples, we make like apple crumble or applesauce.
Exactly.